Welcome to this episode of Destination Dare. Every community in the Outer Banks has a story to tell, and this show brings that information to life. From Dare County history to current events, from government services to local profiles, we keep you entertained, informed, and up to date.
The year was 1870. John Rockefeller was just beginning a new business called the Standard Oil Company. The Jesse James gang was planning their first highway robbery. The telephone wouldn't be invented for another 6 years. And in February of 1870, the North Carolina General Assembly voted to turn a sandy stretch of beach on the Outer Banks into Dare County. They named the newly formed county after Virginia Dare, the first English child to be born in the New World. When the charter was signed, there were only about 6,000 residents scattered between 388 square miles of area comprised of parts of Currituck, Terrell, and Hyde counties. 150 years later, over 35,000 people call Dare County home, and the beaches are a vacation destination for over 2 million people per year.
We have a lot to celebrate and a lot to be grateful for living here. We have a rich history, beautiful beaches, maritime forest, fantastic seafood, and a small town living atmosphere where people really know their neighbors. We have 150 years of residents who have come to Dare County to live all the way from Duck to the mainland to Hatteras Village. We have resilient people that really work hard to make this a great place to live. Even as far back as those who worked in our life-saving station to protect those along the coast. And our fishing industry that's provided seafood for our residents and neighboring states for so many years. There really is nowhere else like Dare County.
You can start your celebration of Dare County's sesquicentennial by going to dare150.com. Dive into the interactive historical timeline for a glimpse of all the wonderful history, from the northern beaches of Duck to the southern shores of Hatteras Island to the mainland of Dare. There is so much history in Dare County. Of course, there's the Wright brothers' first flight, the Freedmen's Colony of Roanoke Island, the Lost Colony of Roanoke, Civil War skirmishes, shipwrecks, but there's tons of things most people haven't heard of. There's Buffalo City, which is a long-lost lumber town out in the East Lake region. And speaking of East Lake, there's also the infamous East Lake Moonshine, which during Prohibition was so famous it was featured on New York menus as East Lake Tea. And of course there's the Nags Head Casino, which was the center of Outer Banks entertainment for most of the 20th century and saw acts by Fats Domino, Count Basie, and Louis Armstrong. And of course famous actor Andy Griffith, star of stage and screen, who got his start in the Lost Colony and made Dare County his home. Also on dare150.com, you can click on Ways to Celebrate to see 150 ways you can mark the sesquicentennial with your family. The celebration kicks off with a party at Island Farm on May 2nd, with games, live music, food, and storytelling on the porch. But it doesn't stop there. Celebrations will be held all year long at local events throughout the county. There's Dare Day on the first Saturday in June, the Outer Banks Seafood Festival in October, Day at the Docks to celebrate Hatteras Watermen in September, and local 4th of July festivities from Duck to Avon. More events will be posted on dare150.com throughout the year, so keep checking back. And follow at Dare County GOVT on Twitter for glimpses into the past 150 years. Besides events at dare150.com, remember to check out that list of 150 ways to celebrate. Chase away the winter chill with a pot of Hatteras clam chowder. See a movie at the historic Pioneer Theater. Paddle through the Alligator River National Wildlife Refuge, or hunt for ghost crabs on the beach after dark. Visit dare150.com and celebrate with us.
I'm Josh O'Brien, Utility Superintendent for the town of Manteo. There are over 1,300 sanitary sewer service connections in the town. Whether the service connection is a residential, commercial, or institutional, Each connection shares a responsibility to understand what can and cannot be flushed into the sewer system. Let's start with fats, oils, and grease, or FOG. According to the 2012 Environmental Protection Agency's report to Congress, FOG is the #1 cause of sewer blockages in the country. Follow these easy steps to keep FOG from the sewer system.
After cooking bacon, burgers, and other meats, place your grease into a container with a lid or a milk carton works. Take a paper towel, wipe out the inside of your pan, and then throw the paper towel in the trash.
There are other fats that can clog pipes, like mayonnaise, butter, salad dressing, heavy cream, milk, ice cream, and sour cream. These fats should all be placed in the trash can.
Please scrape food scraps from dishes and pans into the trash before washing. Please use strainers in your sink to catch food scraps. Don't use the toilet as a trash can for food scraps, beans, soups, or refuse. Don't flush hygiene products or needles down the toilet. That puts us at danger when we need to clean pumps or power cables. When fog congeals, it may decrease the inside diameter of the pipe and a clog will occur. We see it here in manholes and lift stations.
Besides fog, wipes are a close second in the leading cause of blockages, service overflows, and downstream equipment damage. Most treatment plants are not designed to accommodate fog or wipes. The term flushable means something different to the manufacturer than it does to municipalities. It's simple: don't flush wipes. According to the National Association of Clean Water Agencies, wipes cost U.S. utilities $1 billion per year. Fogs and wipes have become a problem worldwide. Giant masses of fogs and wipe have been discovered in London, Baltimore to Melbourne, Australia. Termed fatbergs like icebergs, there are stories and pictures all over the internet. Flushable or other wet wipes, put them in the trash. Let's see what happens in a sanitary sewer system in a small service lateral.
What we have here is a sample of a residential sewer service on the proper slope. We have a toilet set up to clear PVC Schedule 40, also a section representing cast iron pipe and a section representing fats, oils, and grease. We're going to do a series of flushes with different types of material such as toilet paper, wet wipes, and sanitary wipes. First flush is just water. The next flush will be 2 cotton swabs, 2 pieces of toilet paper, and 2 pieces of floss. Sometimes the cotton swabs can help push the blockage out of the line, but other times it does not. The next flush will be 2 pieces of toilet paper, 2 flushable wipes, and a candy bar representing human waste. As you can see, the flushable wipes get hung up on the grease and slows the rest of the drainage down. We're going to give a courtesy flush to clear out the line. Now we have 3 flushable toddler wipes. And this is how clogs happen. A lot of these wipes that don't break down will get hung on grease, but they don't break up like toilet paper does. Here we have regular tissue. It didn't even make it down.
Everything that's drained or flushed here in the town of Manteo ends up at the plant. These are wipes, towels, and other trash that shouldn't be flushed. Grease attaches to the wipes and forms a mass. They knot together in masses and we have to pull them apart to put them in the trash, where they should be in the first place. All of these items are dangerous to downstream equipment in the treatment process. We've seen valves clog, pumps get clogged, and even damaged. Power cables have been ripped out of pumps. It's simple really. Don't put fog down the drain or in the toilet. Don't flush anything except toilet paper.
Let's work together to keep fog and wipes out of the sewer system.
My name is Cliff Fogwin. I'm the town manager for the town of Nags Head. I think about 2012, the town engaged in a subscription recycling program where our residents could sign up with a vendor for pickup from their house or business once per week. The board felt really strongly about recycling. Some of our studies and surveys indicated that our residents and our visitors valued recycling very much. The board decided that, hey, why don't we start recycling townwide? In 2016, the board engaged in a pilot program which captured the majority of our recycling that comes from the beach road in the summer months. The visitors that come are accustomed to recycling where they live, so they've asked, where can we recycle, how do we recycle? So we felt like we could make it more convenient if we put recycling carts at every house along the beach road. Actually, when we started and we put the recycling into the town tax rate, it actually reduced the cost for those that were subscribing. So the price actually went down for some. Recycling numbers have gone up. We're now at about 960 tons a year. However, recently, the economy of recycling has more or less tanked because China has stopped taking material from the US. So we've struggled with trying to find a buyer for our recycling material. So we had a choice. We could pay more to continue to recycle, or we could incinerate at the same price that we're presently recycling for. So this created some questions as to whether or not the board felt like incinerating was the appropriate use of our recyclable materials. From looking at it, it appears incinerating is still more environmentally friendly than putting trash in the landfill. So the board decided to go along with the incinerating. Now that the recyclable material is being carried to an incinerator in Portsmouth, the name of the company is Wheelabrator, those recyclables that are now being incinerated are converted from waste to energy. The waste is used as a local fuel to generate renewable electricity for a utility. In addition, this facility also provides steam to help meet the needs of the U.S. Navy shipyard in Norfolk, Virginia. The board decided to keep the contract until June 30 of this year, so it gives us time to answer a few questions, whether or not DEQ is going to allow us to continue to divert the material to Portsmouth. We're hopeful that there'll be a facility that opens up somewhere in northeastern North Carolina that we can send our recyclable material to. Plus, there's a budget implication, and so we wanted to be able to gather this information to see how it may affect our budget going into next year. But right now the plan is to continue as is. The schedule will stay the same, but however, the only difference is that the material is now sent to Wheelabrator to be converted from waste to energy instead of being sold as recyclable material.
I'm John Winley, Commissioner for the town of Kill Hills. And behind us will be the new restroom facility for the Prospect Avenue beach access. Our board recently looked at ways to improve the overall beach experience for residents and tourists alike. And we found that by adding restroom facilities would be a great way to do so.
The Prospect Avenue bathhouse will have 2 rooms, a men's and a women's. It'll be single use, ADA compliant. We've contacted a local architecture, Beacon Architectural Services, and they drew up the plans for us. And then we've contracted with 2 Guys Services, and they've already started construction.
This is one of just many capital improvement projects that the town is working on. Here is Public Services Director Steve Albright to tell you more.
Hello, my name's Steve Albright. I'm the Public Services Director responsible for the streets, solid waste, and water divisions of the Public Services Department for the town of Kill Devil Hills. We've had a busy off-season again this year. Work has recently been completed on 6th Avenue and West Heyman Boulevard, including the Circle. Projects added drainage, resurfaced the existing streets, and at West Heyman, paved the gravel connectors at the Circle and formalized some on-street parking by paving these spots at both the park and the pier. Town Hall Drive is awaiting asphalt paving to complete the final phase of the project. These projects have improved approximately 1.1 miles of poor streets in Kill Devil Hills. The Board of Commissioners recently approved next year's projects, including for the fall, West Cedar Drive, Captain's Lane, Captain's Circle, and Teakwood Drive. Also approved was a spring project, including East Helga, Briggs, East 4th, East Martin, and East Dean Streets. Survey and design of these project groups will begin shortly to improve drainage and renew pavement on over 1 mile of streets. Construction will begin after bid acceptance, likely sometime in September of 2020. Work on the town's new 400,000-gallon elevated water tank behind me at the fire station 1634 North Croatan Highway continues. Crews are in the final stages of painting both the interior and exterior. The coatings process includes multiple layers to create a system that performs well in our challenging coastal environment. After coatings, the next steps will include what we refer to as yard piping, the underground pipes that will connect the new tank and the pump station to the distribution system. A finish-out crew will also soon be arriving to complete the interior work and piping, sensors, and electrical work along with their subcontractors. Additional pump station work is also planned for March, providing upgrades and repairs to the existing pumping station. While this work is underway, you will also see construction begin on the new monopole located just north of the new elevated tank. Eventually, the cellular equipment will be relocated from the existing elevated tank to the monopole, and then the old tank will be removed, likely in early summer. The Streets Department is continuing with our off-season drainage maintenance activities in many neighborhoods. You may have seen their recent work along 158 at Aycock, Walker, Southfield, Chowan, and Heyman Streets. Other recent work areas include North Memorial, Woodmere, West Ocean Acres Drive, Columbia and Palmetto, Lee Avenue, and Wallace and Apache Streets. We also have additional work planned for Princess Anne and Porthole Court. If you have drainage concerns, please feel free to contact us at 252-480-4080.
Tucked back behind the busy bypass is a treasure trove of towering trees, wildlife, green swamps, and creeks. It's the Kitty Hawk Woods Reserve, and it's there for residents and visitors to spend a little time getting lost in nature. Kitty Hawk Woods is a dedicated nature preserve managed by the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality and owned in part by the town of Kitty Hawk.
My name is Jason Brown, and I work here at Kitty Hawk Woods Reserve as part of the Coastal Reserve Program in North Carolina. Overall, the Coastal Reserve Program manages 10 sites within North Carolina. Kitty Hawk Woods Reserve is made up of diverse natural communities, is how they're often referred to. Those natural communities aren't found on other parts of the Outer Banks because they aren't as sheltered as well from the winds and the salt spray. And then it's also subject to change because it does need that shelter and that protection from the winds and the salt spray. We have a great diversity, but it can also be easily influenced here in the Outer Banks.
The 1,824 acres were once ancient sand dunes, now host to globally rare plant communities like maritime deciduous forests, maritime swamp forests, and interdunal ponds. Those rare habitats are home to some rare wildlife, and that makes Kitty Hawk Woods a favorite for researchers as well as hikers and birdwatchers.
The reserve is important here on the Outer Banks because forest is such a rare thing. Within the stretch of the Outer Banks, we see the sand dunes, the sea oats, but to have this large-scale protected forest with our native species is gotten to be a rare thing with development, the impact of storms, and just changes on the island. So we can plot on a map a line that's close to 3 miles long across this stretch of the Outer Banks, and that gives us some recreational opportunities. And we see bicyclists out for longer rides in this area of Kitty Hawk. We see kayakers on longer paddles where they have some protection from the wind. From September to February, there is hunting opportunities within the reserve. And then a lot of people see the reserve just by using the town's trails and parks.
Remember that some of these habitats are delicate, so when you visit, please stay on the trails. Keep your dog leashed and clean up after them. Be respectful to any river otters, warblers, or mud turtles you might encounter. At the end of the day, the beauty of Kitty Hawk Woods Reserve is there to protect the plants and animals, while you get the pleasure of visiting. It's more than a sidewalk. The new pathway on South Dogwood in Southern Shores completes the loop, linking it with East Dogwood, Route 12, and Highway 158. A multi-use path like this 7-mile loop gets people on the move without getting in their cars.
First, I want to thank the residents of South Dogwood for their patience as we finish up the final leg of what will be a great improvement to our town. It'll give people an opportunity to travel almost 7 miles in a circle on a walking path or a biking path.
Exercise like walking, running, and biking can reduce health risks such as heart diseases, diabetes, depression, and even some cancers. And according to the CDC, people are more likely to go for a stroll if they feel protected from traffic hazards.
I want to also voice my appreciation to our contractors doing this work. We've been very encouraged by the comments from our residents about the courtesy and respect they've been shown by the contractor and their people. And they're doing, as best I can tell, a first-rate job.
Having a safe place to walk can make a world of a difference to mobility-impaired folks, or families with little ones and strollers. Best of all, when people get outside to take a stroll, they get an opportunity to stop and chat with friends and neighbors.
There's no question that the successful completion of the path on East Dogwood and the use of that path was a major factor in our community. The use of East Dogwood path has been way beyond what I've expected, and I'm heartened by that. Finally, I want to thank the Tourist Bureau for their help helping defray some of the cost of this project. It came in under budget to start with, and with their help, we're going to be able to come into a finished project for much less than we originally anticipated.
When the project is complete, you can walk to the beach, the Sound, Kitty Hawk Elementary, and the Duck Woods Country Club. Or just head down the sidewalk and meet some of your neighbors. With any luck, they'll be out taking a stroll too.
A land use plan is a tool used by local governments to help guide decisions in the future. It's usually made up of a map as well as some recommendations that the community develops as to how they see themselves growing in the future. The plan kind of serves as a roadmap for the community as it looks at how it's going to make decisions and policies and use its resources in the future. In the past, the town of Duck had a land use plan that was developed back in 2005. That's what we're updating today. And the plan really set forth a community that has at its core a coastal village environment, a lot of the commercial uses there, and the rest of the town is arranged for mostly residential development purposes. Some of the other issues that have been brought up in previous plan included things like dealing with stormwater management. Providing public access to water is really one of the main reasons why the town initiated its project to develop the Soundside Boardwalk in phases over time. But that was all based in recommendations from that land use plan. The plan also looks at the residential areas of the community, really focusing on maintaining the existing character and density of those. Those are recommendations we're seeing coming out of the process. Well, land use plan is usually good for maybe looking 10 to 15 years out into the community's future. It was about time for the town officials to revisit what was in that plan, see if there are still things that are valid today or if there are things that they want to change as they look at the future of the community. So the town's land use plan is very similar to what you'll find in most communities throughout the North Carolina and the country. So we have a similar process that involves gathering a lot of public input. So the town's gone about that in several different ways. As we initiated the planning process, the town of Duck conducted a search and selected Stewart, a planning and engineering firm, as the consultant to assist the town with the facilitation of the land use plan.
It's been a while since Duck's last comprehensive plan update, a little more than 10 years, I believe, and they've accomplished a lot in that time period. So it was time to check back in with the community and see what's on their mind and bring people together and have them discuss their perspectives and what's worked and what hasn't worked and what needs a little bit more work. But at the same time, Duck's going through some changes. The seas are rising, storms are getting stronger, people are starting to notice, and there's things that the town can do to kind of help the community through these changes, and it was time to kind of get together and talk about that as well. But also, we're doing the update now kind of to reset, to look at the things we've accomplished and to look at what we want to accomplish and move forward from there.
The land use plan really gives an opportunity for the town to have a guideline, a framework for a lot of the decisions that are made. So there's a lot of projects and policies that can come out of this. So one of the reasons we see Duck Village looking like it is, the character that that area has in our community, as a result of policies that were developed from the land use plan. Sometimes it can also take the form of specific projects. Right now the town's completing phase 3 of its pedestrian improvements through the village. That's a component of that land use plan and the pedestrian plan that spun off of that.